Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. I welcome you all to the second part for your lecture number 15 for the course of Computer Networks and Internet Working. My name is Engineer Jaffar Ali and I'm your instructor for this course. So, in the first class actually, in the last lecture, we discussed about the introduction of proxy server, that what is proxy server, what is the purpose of proxy servers for being so much of importance, and what are the main types of the proxy servers, and what is the main architecture that is there, which made this huge process very much convenient for the use, and how does this total operation of this proxy work basically is. So this was all about the previous lecture. In today's lecture we will be discussing about different proxies that you can use, different further types and functions. These are the types, but these types are basically derived in terms of functions. So depending on the functions, there are three types. These were the types. It was based on the location, or you can say the premises of the server. But these is the type. This is based on this. This is the types that are based on this functions. So the first one is basically known as caching proxy. So it is also possible for you to have a specific proxy network or a proxy server, and the only purpose of that proxy server is basically to store the data, that data that is very much requested, and that is very much common, or that is much populated in a specific region. So in that area you have to have a need of this caching proxy, and the only purpose, the sole purpose of this proxy network will be regarding the storing of the data. The next one is basically a web server proxy. This proxy is basically a specific proxy that is focused on the worldwide web traffic, and the most common use is basically when you want to serve any network and you want to hide your data, or you want to hide your IP. For there you can use this web proxy. So you can serve a common example for this kind of proxy is basically the Tor browser. You know about the Tor browser, you know about the dark web. So that dark web basically comes in with a built-in web proxy, and due to that enabling of that built-in web proxy, the IP address is basically changed automatically and it is not traced. So you also have an idea about the Tor browser, in which there is inbuilt a web proxy. The next one is content filtering web proxy. So you can also have a specific kind of proxy server. The only purpose of whose will be regarding the content filtering. So in the university specifically, let's say we have a campus, and I am the administrator, let's say, for example, just for a minute. So I want my users to don't have any access towards the YouTube. So what will I do? I will just make a content filtering proxy server, and this the only and the solely purpose of this proxy server will be to filter out the specific packets of the YouTube and throw them out. So this will be the only purpose of this kind of content filtering web proxy server. The next proxy server is the most used proxy server, that is anonymizing a proxy server. And in this kind of proxy server, you basically hide your information, and while you are trying to serve the web or you are doing anything, you basically hide your information by the name of anyone else. So you basically take a mask of any other person and you use the internet. And the last one is the intercepting a proxy server. So there is a body who want to monitor you. So let's say the secret services, they want to monitor a specific person. So they will create a proxy server, an intercepting proxy server, who will intercept the data transmitted from that user, and they will basically monitor that. So mostly these are also done inside the browser as well. So you can have, like, for example, your history is your monitoring. Your history can be used for your monitoring purposes. Similarly, this intercepting proxy server will be you can also use that for some monitoring purposes at the client side configuration or at the user side. User side is mostly not done because it will indicate the user that okay, I'm being monitored. So to ignore for the user, so that he do not know that he's been monitored, these proxy servers are mostly done on the server end side without informing him. So basically, because this client side configuration is not involved in this, because you do not want your victim to be get noticed that okay, I'm being monitored. So these are some specific types of proxies depending upon their functionalities. And there are many more servers. There are transparent servers, there are opaque servers. So transparent servers are some kind of servers in which both the parties, that is the host and the user, or the local and the remote, they are unaware that the connection has been proxied. So ZOP is a best application layer proxy is example for this kind of application layer proxy, and this is basically built-in software, and this is actually an add-on. You can also use it. So by using this, the user and the server will not know that they are being maintained in a specific zone. The next one is opaque. The opaque is basically the local party must configure the client software to use the proxy. So it has to be basically configured at the client and as well as the user, the server end. So you have to basically configure it on both ends. So that is basically the opaque, because both of them now know that they are being monitored or they are being using proxy servers. And with all of these things, modern firewalls can do it in the area of the redirection. You could configure the firewall. So we will also discuss the overlapping of the firewall system, because you know that the firewall is approximately doing the same thing, but there is a small difference between the firewall and the proxy servers. We will also discuss that in the coming class, inshallah, because I told you that this is a vast topic and it needs to be discussed. Then explanation is not that much of importance. Discussion is good. So we will discuss that in class, inshallah. Now coming towards the performing aspects. So how can we judge, how can you measure the performance of this proxy servers, that is this proxy service good or not? So the first thing is that caching. So you look that okay, this I'm using this proxy server, this is a free proxy server, and the issue regarding this is basically it does not store much of the information. I have to wait, because you know that in by the use of proxy server, mostly the thing that is of importance is the delay. You get a lot of delay as compared to you are using your service without IP, this proxy server. So there is a small thing about cache, that if the cache is more, so the proxy server will be good quality, so you will not have to wait much time. So the caching is the first thing that you do. And the second one is load balancing. By this I mean that reverse proxy. So a proxy can be used in the reverse direction, as I've told you, that from the server end towards the from the main server, let's say YouTube, towards your site. So this is basically used in the reverse direction, and this should be done in such a way that the server that basically send your information, your data towards the YouTube, should be the one who is receiving the data and providing you the same information that you asked for. So this is a phenomenon that needs to be focused, and this is known as load balancing. So the number of transmitted packet and the number of received packets should be matched, so that this is a kind of balanced inside the network, inside the server. And now there are some advantages like security advantages. What are the main security advantages that we get by using of this proxy servers? If you are expert in proxy servers, and if you are even a professional, so you will know that you can hide the internal clients from external network. Your inside clients won't be visible towards outside your network, and you can use different you can block actually different URLs that are basically spams, and they are trying to access your data and trying to access your information by emailing you, by providing you for fake emails, by writing you fake letters and emails. So you do not have to reply, do not even have to reply those. The next thing is you can also filter out dangerous content, adult content. There are many things that you can discuss. So you can also filter out that thing as well. The next thing is you can also eliminate the need of a transport layer routing between the networks. So you know that there is a process-to-process delivery that is happening inside the transport layer. So basically, you are using now the processing is this delivery, process-to-process delivery is now being one process-to-process delivery is now being basically chipped into several 2 or 3 process-to-process delivery. So there is a need that the proxy server should be having that application stored on that server, so that your process-to-process delivery becomes complete. And if it is not that, then there is an issue. There is a need of translation, and if the translation occurs, then again your data is being encoded or decoded. So there is another threat for your data to be copied or your data to be stolen. So you have to make sure that this translation doesn't get involved, and your transport packets does do the thing by its own, instead of you do your transport layer routing, your network transport layer routing. The other should perform it for you. The next one is basically single point access control and the things. So these are the theory. You can also learn them by yourself. These are all things which we have already discussed in very much detail. Now there come some of the liabilities along with this advantages. So you can see that all of your data is now being handled by a single entity or a single proxy server. So let's say if that server goes down, who will take your data towards your receiving end side? And if that server goes power failure or any other incident happen to that server, all of your data will be lost. So you have to make sure that your server is good. They are providing enough backup. They have alternate routes. They have alternate power banks. They have alternate servers, so that your data is not being compromised. Your data is not being lost. So you have to make sure that this single point failure should not be occurring at that server. And for that, you basically get the premium services, and that is not for free. You have to actually pay the cost so that you can get a backup. The next thing is this proxy server doesn't basically protect the operating system. If you are running, because proxies run at that application layer, application layer, and it is basically that I've told you that starting from the application towards the application. So you have to make sure that this whole things get along. So it doesn't basically involve the need of the operating system. So mostly it bypasses that operating system, and which is a threat, because all of your information about the operating system is now being exposed unintentionally. So this is a liability that comes in with the proxy server, and usually this is optimized for performance rather than security. As I've told you that most of the proxy servers are people uninstall or delete that apps because of the delay, because they are not providing enough latency. So if they increase the latency, they try to reduce the latency. They basically compromise on the optimization, and by optimization I mean the optimization for performance. So they pay the cost at the price of the security. So you do not want to that. Do not want to your data to be reached or received late, but in an insecure form. You want your data to be reached quick and in a secure form. But in order to get the speed, in order to increase other efficiencies, they actually compromise the security issue, and they basically take out some of the security features like SSL. They take out SSL because SSL performs and just telling you example, SSL takes half a second or 1 second, so or even less than that. There are several security features they are involved, and mostly to increase the speed, to increase the throughput, to increase the packet delivery ratio. They actually neglect and they actually take out that security features, which is not a good thing. So you have to keep in mind that your proxy server should be fast enough, reliable enough, and it should be have an alternate so that you can have your data back, or it should have a backup plan so for you. And there are several softwares that you can use to run these proxy servers. The first one is Invisible IP Map, and it works from the Windows 2000 to Vista, and it is compatible to Linux also, and it works without the considerable drop in performance. There are invisible browsing, there are many more apps, there are several software nowadays, so you can use any of that. But this was the part of a lecture, so I managed to get this in. So this was all about the second part of the lecture. I hope that some of the questions that remained unquestioned in the previous lecture now has been explained to you. In any case, if you have any further questions or any other confusions, you can ask me directly or on my email, or you can ask me on the class as well. We will be having a class tomorrow, inshallah. So I'll see you in the class. If it'll be very good if you write your questions down on a paper, so that you will be remembering it in the next class. I'll see you tomorrow. Thank you very much. Allah Hafiz.